Hey everyone, Jennifer Lee Chan here from NBC Sports Bay Area. I've talked a couple times about the wide receivers, if the 49ers could choose one at 11 or if they could get some value picks. I really do think they can find some wide receivers. It's a good class. They can find some guys that will contribute at some point. I don't know if they'll necessarily be day one starters, but I think with the background of Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, and Demarcus Robinson, I think that is a good base for them to start. I do think they have issues at linebacker. Now, Fred Warner is obviously one of the best in the business, but I think losing Dre Greenlaw was one of the biggest mistakes that this 49ers regime has made, especially this offseason. Obviously, it was a huge market for Dre Greenlaw. Rumors are that there were 8 or 9 teams interested in him. I did hear that the 49ers made a late push for Dre Greenlaw. They really wanted him to come back, but it was too little too late. And he signed a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Denver Broncos. And I think this is going to be really costly for the 49ers because looking at the draft, especially now after free agency has kind of died down a little bit, looking at the draft, there aren't a lot of high caliber, top flight linebackers available. There's really only one linebacker in the draft that is rated as a first round draft pick, and that's Jahad Campbell out of Alabama. He's 6'3", 244 pounds. He's ranked as PFF's number 10 overall prospect, top linebacker in the class this year. But he just had labrum surgery. He just had shoulder surgery, so he's probably not going to be ready for the offseason. And when guys are coming in as rookies, the offseason is so important. I mean, you saw what happened with Ricky Pearsall last year with the hamstring injury and the shoulder subluxation. So, not being ready for rookie minicamp, for OTAs, for training camp is a huge setback for a rookie. Now, Ricky Pearsall did a pretty good job. Like, once he got going, you saw glimpses of what he could be. But then there were a lot of games where I don't know whether it was he wasn't where he was supposed to be, but Brock Purdy didn't find him. They were not feeding him the ball. I don't know whether it had to do with Ricky Pearsall, where he was at, whether he was not where he was supposed to be. I don't know that. But his production was very inconsistent. Now, Juwan Jennings had a fantastic year, almost 1,000 yards, 975 yards. So he was a guy who played entirely throughout the entire offseason. You see that, right? Deebo Samuel had a great training camp, but Brandon Ayuk held in. Who was out there? Juwan Jennings. And so Juwan Jennings, when Deebo Samuel was having a vet day, Juwan Jennings was out there practicing a ton. And he got all those reps with Brock Purdy. And that's why Brock Purdy and Juwan Jennings had such a great connection in 2024. So looking at this linebacker group, I think not signing Dre Greenlaw is going to be felt by the 49ers well after this season goes on because, I mean, they're counting on these draft picks to produce. I mean, last year the draft picks did produce. It was a great draft class. You look at Dominic Pooney, yes, Ricky Pearsall had his ups and downs, but he still was out there. Renardo Green, Malik Mustafa. I mean, these guys did go out there and play a lot of snaps. And the way they have just really gotten rid of so many players on the defense makes me wonder how are they going to be able to play on defense? Yes, they still have Deommodore Lenoir, they still have Fred Warner, and they still have Nick Bosa. But really, when you look at what the team has been like before and they've played really good defense, it started from the defensive line. It started from having good linebackers. I mean, it's been Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw for a long time. So to not have him there, that's a big one to lose. I think it might be the biggest one outside of, I mean, way more impactful than Leonard Floyd, than Javon Hargrave, than Malik Collins. Losing Dre Greenlaw is going to have its effect on this defense. Now, they played a lot of games without him last year, but they also lost a lot of games. They were 6-11. So there are some other linebackers in this group of guys coming out, and some will be good, but you look at where they've drafted in the past. They have Tatum Bethune, who was a rookie last year, played mostly on special teams, didn't do a whole lot, and then they have Curtis Robinson, who's coming back from his ACL injury, and D Winters. D Winters was the guy that Fred Warner said he's the most improved during training camp, and I think he'll play well. I mean, I think it would be he's familiar with the system. He's familiar with Fred Warner. But when Matt Barrows and Cam Inman asked John Lynch while he was at Stanford's pro day, they said, "So is Tatum Bethune the guy who's going to play next to Fred Warner?" And John Lynch said, "Yeah, he'll have a chance." That is not spark confidence in the fact that D Winters could be the guy next to Fred Warner. I don't think, I mean, yes, competition always, but for it not to be a yes, that's the guy we're looking at, the lack of confidence there, and they're not going to find a guy who's going to come in and light it up from the draft. They're just not. I mean, the rest of these prospects, they're good, but you know, they're not Dre Greenlaw. So, I mean, when you look at the other linebackers, the only other one that like is um very interesting is Jalen Walker, but he's more of an edge guy. So yes, he's a linebacker edge, but he's outside linebacker. He can play stack or he can play, off the ball linebacker when he needs to, and then he can also rush the passer. That may be a guy that could work, but when you're looking at a guy who's going to play every single snap next to Fred Warner, I don't know that there, I just don't think there is one. All right, this is what PFF says about Jalen Walker. Walker is a physically and athletically gifted player who presents box presence, versatility as an off-ball linebacker. His anticipation and pass rush profile in its current form are lacking for consistent impact in the NFL. He must improve how he approaches rushing the passer or his off-ball instincts to be worth a top 50 selection due to age and potential. So he's kind of good at both, but there's not one, or I mean, he is good at both, but there's not one that stands out more than the other. Jahad Campbell, the guy from Alabama, Campbell has the ideal build and athletic ability to play any linebacker spot, but he projects best to a Mike or Sam linebacker in a 4-3 scheme or a Mike edge in a 3-4. He must continue to develop anticipation and strength, but he has the mold of an all-pro player, which is good. There's been kind of up and down things said about Jahad Campbell. Let's see what Lance Zierlein, who's NFL Network, NFL.com. Campbell has the builds and traits of an Alabama linebacker, but might need to upgrade in some areas. He doesn't play with early instincts or play with recognition, and is inconsistent in challenging blockers and leveraging his run fits. Campbell uses his speed and his athleticism to help mitigate mistakes and get the football at and get to the football at a relatively high rate. He's rangy, consistent open field tackler who excels on third downs as a fluid blitzer and impressive cover talent. The elite traits and athletic talent will be tantalizing, but the best way to utilize him might be as a full-time 3-4 rush linebacker where he can play more proactively instead of reactively as an off-ball linebacker. So, um, those are guys that maybe the 49ers could take at 11. At least Jahad Campbell. Jalen Walker also. I mean, Jalen Walker is number 28 overall on PFF. And, these are all draft pundits. I don't, I know it's not exactly how it's going to go, but interesting where these guys are placed. I do know that John Lynch had a dinner um, in Oregon with the athletic director. And Jeffrey Bassa is a guy who might be a late round pick the 49ers could target as a linebacker. Bassa is an intriguing former safety who now has a home at the linebacker level. This is PFF. Despite his lower weight for the position, he's 6'2", 235. Said he is not shy about making contact or doing the dirty work. He is a smooth mover, but he does lack some twitch, which can be mitigated with continued improvement in anticipation. And the 49ers do have one of the best linebackers coaches in Johnny Holland. He's a vocal leader at Oregon. He could be a nice coverage linebacker in any scheme. So maybe they go value pick, Jeffrey Bassa. He's PFF's 108th pick prospect and 73.4 grade. I mean, not bad. Could be a value pick, maybe third round. But I really do think this losing Dre Greenlaw looms large, and all the losses that they have on defense through free agency and cutting guys to save money, it's going to be a tough road for the defense. So they're depending on this draft to draft defensive tackles and defensive edge rushers to help support who they have on the field. And if they don't perform, it could be a really tough year for the 49ers. So we'll see how it goes and we'll see how they do in the draft. And the sun is going down, so I didn't turn my light on. So here we go. And I will talk to you guys soon. Traveling to Florida on Saturday, going to Palm Beach, where we will see Jed York, John Lynch, and Kyle Shanahan at the NFL annual meeting. So I'll give you updates from there. Hope you guys are all well. Happy weekend.